at T-minus 3 hours and holding. We are 1 hour away from resuming the countdown, and also about 5 hours away from the target liftoff time of 8:38 a.m. This is a planned built-in 2-hour hold, which was started at the T-minus 3 hour mark, and will resume in approximately 1 hour at about 5:18 a.m. Eastern Time. This will be the 6th flight for the Orbiter Discovery and the 20th launch for the Space Transportation System. The launch window opens at 8:38 a.m. and closes at 9:12 a.m. At this time, the weather looks good for a launch at 8:38 a.m. and the alternate landing sites have just been verified that the weather is good at those sites, should there be a need for a landing today. Highlights of the 8-day mission include the second repair of a satellite in space and deployment of the ASC-1 for American Satellite Company and the AUSAT satellite for the Australian government and the LESAT F-4 satellite for the U.S. Navy. The physical vapor transport of organic solids experiment sponsored by the 3M Corporation will be conducted in Discovery's mid-deck. The 51I mission is currently baseline for 8 days, with the LESAT salvage operations planned for Flight Day 7 and the landing to occur on September 1st. There could be a change to this plan, and that would be made after orbital insertion. The proposed plan would be baselined as a 7-day mission, with the salvage attempt on Flight Day 6 and landing on August 31st at Edwards Air Force Base, California on Flight Day 8. If additional salvage operation time is needed, Flight Day 7 would be used for this effort, with a landing on September 1, Flight Day 9. A decision regarding these changes will be made in real time. Everything has been going smoothly in today's countdown, and the external tank has been loaded to its flight load, and we are now in a stable replenish mode on the liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. No significant problems have been reported. And we are just about a minute away from the NASA test director giving the go for the astronaut crew wake-up. Crew is scheduled to wake up this morning at about 4:18 a.m. Eastern Time, which will be when they officially begin their first flight day of their 8-day mission. The Orbiter Discovery for the flight crew's entry. Crew is scheduled to depart for the launch pad at about 5:48 this morning, and they are scheduled to eat breakfast at about 4:48 a.m. Eastern Time. The ice debris inspection team is currently finishing up their inspection of the external tank to ensure that there is no ice buildup on the tank that would possibly come off and damage Discovery's fragile tile system. When the crew is finished, they will return to the Launch Control Center and report to shuttle managers what they saw. Contact with the personnel in the astronaut quarters and has given them permission to wake the flight crew in preparation for this morning's launch of the Orbiter Discovery. Astronaut Commander Joe Engle, pilot Richard Covey, mission specialist William Fisher, John Lounge, and Ox Van Hoften have now officially started the first day of their 8-day mission. This is one of the major milestones in the countdown, as it signifies the launch team's confidence that the vehicle is ready for launch. If a significant problem existed at this time, the crew would be allowed to continue sleeping because flight directors have determined over the years that they do not want the astronauts to have too long a workday from wake-up to the start of their first sleep period. One other flight crew restriction is the maximum time they are allowed to remain in the cockpit strapped to their seats. That cannot exceed 6 hours. However, that restriction is not a factor in today's launch because the window is just 26 minutes long. Everything's continuing to proceed smoothly in the countdown for today's launch. Liftoff time is planned for 8:38 a.m. Eastern. T-minus 3 hours and holding. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
It's 3 hours and holding. Everything going very well here in the countdown for the launch of 51I. Out on the pad, the ice inspection team has been taking a look at the external tank. This group is made up of 4 people who will go to the deck or zero level of the mobile launch platform, the 195-foot level where the orbiter access arm is, and the 215-foot level, which is at the top of the external tank. While they're on the mobile launch platform, they'll be looking up into the engine area to ensure that no ice is built up on the engine gimbals and the other areas. At the conclusion of their inspection, they'll return to firing room 2 and report to Launch Director Bob Seek. The ice inspection team is dressed in non-static producing flame retardant coveralls, and they carry gas masks for emergency use. They use a variety of equipment while they're out on the pad, such as binoculars, a telescope, and infrared scanners to determine the skin temperature of the tank at any given spot. A bucket of ice is used to calibrate the scanner to ensure accuracy. At the present time, the supply of drinking water is being monitored to ensure that there's enough room to accept the water that's being made by the fuel cells for the next 9.5 hours. If it's decided that not enough room exists, the water will be drained from the system to the proper level. The countdown clock at T-minus 3 hours and holding. We will be coming out of that hold at approximately 5:18 Eastern Daylight Time this morning. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 3 hours and holding. The astronaut crew is now in the process of sitting down to breakfast in the crew quarters, taking a look at the crewmen over there. We had just looked at Commander Joe Engle, now at Mission Specialist Dr. Bill Fisher, and Dr. James Ox Van Hoften. The crew has a wide variety of breakfast items that are possible for them to have, ranging from regular cereal to eggs and steak. Looking at the crew again from left to right, Dr. James Ox Van Hoften, Mike Lounge, Commander Joe Henry Engle, Dr. Bill Fisher, and Dick Covey, the pilot for this particular mission. There's a cake on the table in front of the astronauts, which has the symbol of this particular team on it as the 51I crew patch. The patch artwork is always selected by the crew and symbolizes their particular mission. For 51I, a particularly patriotic design has been chosen, depicting the American eagle propelling the American flag into space. The names of the 5 crewmen circled the top of that. Meanwhile, out on the pad, the closeout crew is continuing its effort to prepare the Discovery for the crew arrival, and the ice inspection team is taking a look at the external tank and the attachments. The closeout crew is made up of a number of people. It includes 2 suit technicians, or 1 suit technician, 2 mechanical technicians, and an astronaut. In this case, Marcia Ivins is the astronaut who is the support person. She will be configuring all of the switches in the cockpit, checking to make sure that the seats are ready, that the various connections are ready, and then she will assist in putting the astronauts in those seats once they arrive out at the pad. Some condensation that is a little bit more than expected, and the crew now leaving the quarters, headed by Commander Joe Engle. They walk out of the quarters on the third floor of the ONC building to the elevator, which will carry them down to the floor. They're accompanied by George Abbey, who is Director of Flight Operations, John Young, who is Chief of the Astronaut Office. Down on the ground floor, there's a group of well-wishers who are waiting there along with the news media. The crew is frequently met by signs which wish them a good mission and sometimes celebrating their work at KSC while members of the astronaut support teams. The crew coming down the elevator now to the first floor and the Astro van waiting to take them out to the pad. Coming out now, led by Commander Joe Engle, pilot Dick Covey, mission specialist Oxfam Hoften, Bill Fisher, and Mike Lounge. Entering the S van along with astronaut John Young and flight director George Abbey. The door being closed by the security personnel, and the van will now get underway. It's about a 9-mile drive out to the pad, and on the way the crew will have an escort of security guards and medical personnel. We are now less than 3 hours away from the launch of Space Shuttle Mission 51I, the sixth flight of the orbiter Discovery. The Astrovan moving off. Another signal that everything has been going very smoothly in the countdown as we have gone through the night, indeed as we have gone for the last couple of days through the countdown. There's been work which has been accomplished on the pad, which was not originally planned, but that has all been taken care of. The weather looks like it's cooperating, and everything is looking very good for a liftoff on time at 8:38 this morning. Out on the pad, the crew compartment has been prepared, and the closeout team is prepared to help the astronauts as they arrive to get into the proper clothing and equipment. And the NASA test conductor and the Lockheed test conductors are conducting a check of all of the major consoles to ensure that there are no violations of launch commit criteria prior to giving permission to allow the flight crew to enter the Discovery. Each of the test conductors also polls their engineers to ensure that everything is ready to proceed towards launch. Just prior to the arrival of the crew at the pad, support astronaut Marcia Ivins was asked whether the crew compartment was ready for the crew to enter, and she replied that it was. The suit technician and mechanical technician are down at the base, the elevators, to assist the flight crew as well. And the NASA test director has now ordered the orbiter test conductor to proceed with the crew egress. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, 55 seconds, and counting. And the first of the crew has crossed the swing arm to the white. Commander Joe putting on his vest, and pilot Dick Covey getting into his. The egress harness that each crew member puts on serves a variety of purposes. Its primary purpose is to be used in case the astronauts must leave the vehicle in an emergency. Descent device attaches to the harness, and it would be used to lower the astronaut to the ground from either side hatch or through the overhead escape panels. descent device allows a crew member to lower himself at a controlled rate of descent. MS-1, or Mission Specialist 1, James Hoften, has also entered the White Room now and is preparing. The harness also contains a life vest which provides 24 hours of flotation capability if the shuttle orbiter should make a water landing. There's also an inflatable pillow which is located in the back of the harness, which can be adjusted by astronauts for their personal comfort. An orbital space flight of Columbia. He's a native of Dickinson County in Kansas. Pilot Richard O. Covey was born in Fayetteville, Arkansas. However, he considers, and he graduated from the Air Force Academy with a master's degree in aeronautics and astronautics from Purdue University. And he was an operational fighter pilot from 1970 to 74, flying 339 combat missions during 2 tours of duty in Southeast Asia. The orbiter, they will be assisted in getting into their seats and adjusting those seats for the proper reach to the rudder pedals and to reach the other controls. The 3 members of the team standing outside now on the swing arm or the walkway which goes from the fixed service structure over to the White Room, which allows them to enter the hatch on the side of the orbiter. And the 3 mission specialists will be entering the White Room shortly to prepare for their entrance into the orbiter as well as vest. Dr. Fisher was born in Dallas, Texas, and he earned his doctorate of medicine degree from the University of Florida and considers home here in Florida. After medical school, Fisher specialized in emergency medicine, and even though he's in the astronaut corps since 1980, he continues to practice emergency medicine at the Clear Lake Hospital, Houston. His assignment as a mission specialist have included scientific equipment operator for B-57 high-altitude research, EVA mobility unit, EVA activity procedure, hardware and software development for the propulsion assist modules, and Capcom STS-8 and 9. He's also served as Deputy Director of NASA Government and Contractor Furnished Experience. Dr. Fisher will be the other member of the team who will be in the cargo bay to assist in the repair of the SYNCOM satellite. Are in their seats and going through their various checks to make sure their communications are working properly. When they got on board, Lockheed Test Director Jim Sullivan said, "Welcome aboard" to Joe Engle. And the other voices you may hear during the countdown include the NASA Test Director, Frank Merlino, the Landing and Recovery Director, Chuck Henschel, and the orbiter test conductor for Lockheed, Terry Miller. The countdown clock at T-1 hour, 36 minutes, 12 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch.
Flight crew ready to proceed with astronaut check. That's fine, we're ready. This is OTC, Aerogram 2. How do you read? Flight crew PLT? TC and that's falling. CR, radio output. MS1. Clear. MS2. Clear. MS3. 1 clear.
1 hour, 32 minutes and counting. The crew is now in place and ready for launch, and the support astronaut, Marcia Ivins, has ensured that the number of items not needed flight have been moved from the crew compartment at 38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The momentum wheel on the AC-1 satellite has been spun properly, and everything appears to be ready for launch in the cargo area. The countdown clock at T-minus 1 hour, 29 minutes, 57 seconds counting. This is shuttle on control. Of the inertial measurement units have been completed. The inertial measurement units are used to tell the guidance system on the orbiter where it is in relationship to its launch pad here at the Kennedy Space Center. Announced that he has completed the cabin vent redundancy test. This test, which is part of the crew module pressurization and leak check, 2 valves in series must be open to vent the cabin. An earlier check verified the first or the primary valve was operating properly, and he has now completed the check of the backup or redundant vent and receives signals by radio rather than through wires as it is done. Commander Joe Engle has been asked to stand by to vent the cabin at the T-minus 30-minute point. And safety and security personnel here at the Kennedy Space Center have verified the shuttle landing facility has been cleared and secured in case it is needed for a return launch site aboard. The countdown continuing very smoothly here as we prepare for a very exciting commercial mission for the orbiter Discovery. Cells used to generate electricity on board the orbiter has been complete, and the fuel cell loads are now being adjusted.
PCD OTC.
12 minutes and counting. Launch Director Bob Seek talking to Bill Jafferis, who is the lightning expert here at the Kennedy Space Center, about the readings which they're receiving on field mills out in the field, showing that there is some change in the potential going from the tip of the cape towards the pad. However, at this time, there is no problem, and the clouds do not appear to be a problem as far as the weather is concerned. Continuing to count down now to the T-minus 9-minute point, where we will have an additional 10-minute built-in hold. If we should have to hold, that would be the point at which we would do it. We have a window which extends to 9:12. However, we'd like to launch at the beginning at 8:38. T-minus 11 minutes and counting. Coming up on the 10-minute point in our countdown. T-minus 10 minutes and counting. The comparison of the prime computer with the onboard computer, we're counting down towards the 9-minute point where we'll hold for an additional minute. Coming up on the 9-minute point, T-minus 9 minutes and holding. This is a 10-minute built-in hold.
T-minus 9 minutes and holding. Flight controllers here in mission control continue to monitor the orbiter systems. The ascent flight director, Gary Cohen, reviewing the opinions of flight directors in the room. Some 15 minutes ago, he surveyed the operators in the mission control room, and all positions reported go for launch at that time. He had some discussion with the weather people about the proximity of a thunderstorm in the area that could be of some concern in the event of an RTS. However, they continue to monitor that. This is Mission Control, Houston.
With T-minus 9 minutes and holding, we're just about 5 minutes away from coming out of this built-in hold. A few minutes ago, John Conway, who is Director of Cargo Operations here at the Kennedy Space Center, polled all of the companies who were involved in this morning's launch to ensure that their Earth stations, control centers, and other command mechanisms were ready for launch. He has a report back from the customers, the American. The city of Geraldton volunteered. This city was recruited to help with the project. And after it was determined that Perth was too far south for the orbit of Discovery to be flying, the city of Geraldton volunteered. The city, located 250 miles north of Perth, is a much better area, and they will light up their city 22 hours and 8 minutes into the flight at approximately 6:47 p.m. Australian time Sunday. The range safety officer has reported that the ship is clear. We thought we were going to have a hold in the this count for that, but they are on their way out of the area, and that is no longer a factor. Frank Merlino, the NASA test director, conducting a poll at the present time to determine whether each of the major managers is ready to go. And has said that we will pick up the countdown clock at 8:29. This is an exciting launch in just another 20 seconds. Holding momentarily here from coming out of a 9-minute build-in hold. We had a fire truck in the launch danger area, and that is rolling out now. And we have gotten a go from the range safety officer. Doing a final check prior to picking up the launch and standing by for resumption of the count. We've just heard back from the range safety officer that there are no go at this particular time. An aircraft which was monitoring a ship which had intruded into the area is in the process of getting out of the area itself. So we're standing by to hear that both the ship and the aircraft are outside of the area. The count continuing to hold at the T-minus 9-minute point. We have a 34-minute window which extends till 9:12. We are standing by at time for permission to resume the count at T-minus 9 and holding. This is Shuttle Launch Control. We are currently taking a very close look at a thunderstorm which is in the area in the vicinity of the landing facility. This is essential that we have a clear pathway back to the Kennedy Space Center in the case of a problem which would cause a return to launch site abort. Return to launch site abort is just one of 4 abort modes which are possible should there be a problem with the shuttle or the engines during the launch sequence. The return to launch site abort is the first one. There's also a possibility of a transatlantic abort in the case where we have enough energy and have gone past the point of no return to the Kennedy Space Center. The primary site for a transatlantic abort this time is Dakar, Senegal, with a backup in Morón, Spain. In the case of an abort once around, we could go into either Edwards Air Force Base or White Sands, but and then the final abort mode is an abort to orbit, which we had on the last flight. This is, of course, the most desirable one, in which we're able to actually get control at the T-minus 9 minutes and holding. At the present time, we are holding for the thunderstorms which are in the area. Very fast developing storms which pop up suddenly in the area. And however, we do not want to launch through a thundercloud or any cloud that has the potential lightning. Moving toward the north, whether they move fast enough is, of course, what we're most interested in. The window extends to 9:12, which means that we must come out of the hold by 9:03 if we are going to make this morning's window. Cape weather on the loop now, talking to the team here in the firing room, and saying that as far as he can tell from his charts, which include the field mills, that there is no lightning potential in the clouds which we have in the area. The countdown clock at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. This is shuttle launch. If we should have to move on till tomorrow, the launch window opens at 8:02 a.m. and extends to 8:12 a.m. with another minute possible between 8:54 a.m. and 8:55 Eastern Daylight Time. If we should have to move to the August 26th, the window extends from 8:05 to 8:20 a.m. and on August 27th from 7:17 a.m. to 7:43. However, we're still standing by. All systems are ready on board the shuttle to support the launch if the weather will just give us a chance to do that. At the T-minus 9-minute point. Minute point. We will only be counting down, though, to the 5-minute point unless something should happen to the weather prior to that. Of course, we're all hoping that that will happen. But we can hold at 5 minutes and then extend our period. And we're at T-minus 9 minutes and counting. The launch events are now being controlled by the ground launch sequencer from now up to the T-minus 25 seconds when they switch to the onboard redundant set launch sequencer. The ground launch sequencer is part of the launch processing system and operates by relaying commands to the orbiter's onboard computers, which then report back to the launch processing system that the commands have been executed successfully. The primary job of the onboard computers is to check that all of the launch commit criteria, such as propellant loads, temperature, pressures, and other measurements, are normal. T-minus 8 minutes, 15 seconds, and counting. At the present time, we're counting only down to the 5-minute point, which is just prior to the start of the auxiliary power units. Once we start those power units, we only have a fairly short time in which we can hold. However, we can hold at the 5-minute point for many more minutes. T-minus 7 minutes, 45 seconds, and counting. Everything proceeding smoothly in the countdown. Just a few seconds away from retraction of the crew access arm. T-minus 7 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. The crew access arm beginning its retraction. This is the walkway that the astronauts use to get from the service structure to the orbiter. If an emergency should arise, that arm can be put back into position within 15 seconds. Houston is sending a final update to the onboard computer for antenna management. AC electrical bus sensors have also been placed in monitor by pilot Dick Covey. Just past the 7-minute point in the count, and continuing to count down to the T-minus 5-minute point. Weather still a concern in the area, but being watched very, very carefully by all here in the control room, also by John Young flying in the shuttle training aircraft. T-minus 6 minutes and 30 seconds and count. Pilot Dick Covey now has been asked to perform the auxiliary power pre-start. This consists of positioning a number of switches down just to the 5-minute point, at which time we will continue to assess the weather. And pilot Dick Covey reporting that pre-start is complete.
Countdown clock will hold at T-minus 5 minutes and approximately 30 seconds.
T-minus 5 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. The flight recorders are on. The flight recorders provide measurements of the shuttle system performance during the entire mission for playback after landing. The test conductor has said that the clock will stop at 5 minutes. We're coming up on that now in 10 seconds. And we're at T-minus 5 minutes and holding. The this we have about 4 minutes and 48 seconds remaining in the window. The test conductor asking his crew to stay spring-loaded to go. Only 4 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the window as we continue to watch the weather and to see if we can't get off the launch before 9:12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time this morning. Everything in readiness, out on the pad, the crew ready to go, the vehicle ready to go, the weather not cooperating as well as we might like. We're at T-minus 5 minutes and holding. This is Shuttle Launch Control. Control at T-minus 5 minutes and holding. We have 3 minutes 14 seconds remaining in the window before we have to pick up the count or we have to scrub forward today. The flight recorders were not turned on as expected at the T-minus 5 minute 30 second point. They will be turned on 30 seconds before coming out of this hold if we should do that. The command was not sent as expected from Houston. 2 minutes 45 seconds remaining in the window as we stand by to see if we can find some better weather here at the Kennedy Space Center. The weather is improving. The rain clouds dissipating and breaking up, but we're just standing by to see whether that will happen fast enough. We're T-minus 5 minutes and holding. This is Shuttle Launch Control. 1 minute and 52 seconds remaining in this window. You're having discussions on the weather at the present time to see whether we can come out of this hole. Shuttle Launch Control, Launch Director Bob Seek has just announced that the weather is too dynamic to call and we will not be able to pick up the countdown. We will go through a recycle and try again tomorrow morning. The launch window for tomorrow, August 25th, is 8:02 a.m. to 8:12, and then an additional 1 minute window between 8:54 a.m. and 8:55. To recap, we had a very, very smooth countdown throughout the night and this morning as far as the vehicle was concerned. Very few problems along the way. We did have some concern over intrusion of a boat in the area, which caused some momentary holds there. But the primary reason was weather, a very dynamic sort of weather pattern in which there were very small rain cells forming, many disappearing almost as quickly as they form. And but at the last analysis, there was just too many cloud around to enable us to go today. The main concern is not only for the vehicle on the pad passing through a cloud which has lightning potential, but also it's essential that we have clear weather in case there should be a reach or launch site abort. So the launch of 51I for today has been scrubbed. We're in the process of recycling, and we'll pick up the countdown once again and try again for tomorrow morning at 8:02 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is Shuttle Launch Control.